There we go. All right. It's on. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of 26 Sports. It's your host, Michael Rether, first and foremost. Secondly, we got right here the WBO Junior Lightweight Champion of the World, Jamel Semper Herring. How you doing tonight, Jamel?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, bro.
Good to hear. Good to hear, man. So, I know you're just training right now. You had some stuff you got to do. How's training going so far?
Training's going well. Can't complain. Like I said, I'm just right now just sharpening the tools, staying active, staying busy, and keeping the focus. More importantly,
That's good. That's good. So, you got the fight on July 2nd, obviously from Vegas in the bubble as they're putting out at the moment. Uh,
right,
so, how's the feeling knowing, I mean, again, we know, as you said before, you used to know fans, things like that. But what's the feeling knowing that it's getting close to that date and you're going to be part of, something special, really? These events Top Rank has been putting on has been coming out pretty nice.
Um, at the end of the day, for me, it's just business. Another day at the office. But I'm more importantly, though, I'm just happy just to get back in the ring and do what I love more. With or without a crowd. So at least I have the opportunity to get in there and stay active and keep the rust off.
Yeah, and speaking of your opponent, Jonathan Aquendo, we've seen the tweets where people are talking about other people that supposedly were offered to fight, this and that. But as you specified, there's a reason why I mean, Aquendo was already there before these other people got offered, but there's a reason why
Right.
Aquendo's the one that's there, right?
Right. And that reason is because I was supposed to be fighting before all this craziness, everybody trying to get a shot and everything. We all know I was supposed to fight Carl Frampton, who basically had the same frame as the Jonathan Okendo, and then on top of that, Okendo is ranked by the WBO, and another reason why we couldn't get these other big fights anyways because there's no money. There's no money
Yep.
for these big fights. As you like pointed out, we're fighting without a crowd, so there's no gate, there's no ticket sales. A lot of things behind the scenes. Like I said, from what I was supposed to get from the Frampton, for Frampton, I took a huge cut, just to get back in the ring. But like I said, I'm not complaining because you can either make something or you make nothing.
Exactly. And right now the thing is to stay active, so
Right,
that's what you got to do. And again, I mean, hopefully things are gonna cool off and we're able to start getting those fights that we want.
right,
Obviously, I mean, you're gonna have your eyes too as well to next Saturday when Burchelt fights as well. I know you wanted him, but it didn't work out for
right.
one reason or another. Um, what's your thoughts on his fight? Knowing again, same thing that we got going on here.
Hey, I wish that man nothing but the best. I give him this, love and respect. He is the number one super featherweight in the world, so I give him that. I'm never gonna, discredit him for anything. So, but as a, as a champion myself, of course, I'll be watching closely to everything. But I just wish him nothing but the best. I hope he goes in there, takes care of business, and then leaves the ring, healthy and in one piece.
Yeah, and of course that's the thing right now. The main thing is that everyone, no matter what the outcomes of the fights are, that they leave healthy, together, normal.
Right,
The fights last night, it was a good fight with Collard and Kaminsky, but then we hear Kaminsky had to be transported to the hospital, and
right.
especially
And
with
I'm glad.
everything.
I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah,
I spoke to him a little bit earlier today, so I'm glad he's okay.
yeah, that's
That's my guy. And
yeah.
like I said, more importantly, like I said, I'm just happy he's able to go home to his family and and just heal up. And like I said, we all know I've had my setback, so
Yeah,
it's not. I hope it doesn't keep him down. Same goes for my boy Joshua Greer. He had a setback
yeah,
as well earlier this week. It happens. It's boxing, but the main
yeah.
important thing is everybody goes home and intact, and we can just bounce back and continue doing what we do.
Exactly. And then speaking of Joshua Greer, I'm a fan of his. I like his fighting. I was more impressed with how he handled himself after the fight. Like, and it's not to be
Right,
disrespectful to no one. It's he made zero excuses, and if he really wanted to, he could have made a couple for the fact that he had to have opponents change and things like that, but he didn't.
right,
He straight just said, "Nah, he beat me. He was a better man." Simple as that. So much
right,
respect to him for that because it is hard. I mean, as you said, you were going to fight Frampton. Everything was set for that, and now you got Aquendo. But it's It's boxing. It's the moment that we're living in, so things happen. But shout out
Yeah,
to
things
Joshua
happen, but like I
Guerrero.
said,
He
he
came
he
back in
made
that
no
fight as
he
well.
made no yeah, he made no excuses. Like I said, in the end, he took him a while to really find his niche in that fight, and you know that last quarter of the fight. But even with the two knockdowns, he still grinded it out, and, you know, and fought with a sense of urgency in the end. And like I said, at the end of the day, he didn't make that one excuse. He didn't say this happened or that happened. You know, he took his
Exactly.
loss like a man, and he said he'll just be back, and that's all we can ask of him.
Exactly. And then, I mean, hey, if he gets a rematch, that'd be good. If not, whatever he's got to do.
Right.
As you said, he came back. He found his niche towards the end of the fight. Planio put a great game plan on early, and he came back. And he worked the inside, and I honestly thought he maybe a little bit more pressure he might have got to him because Planio looked to be tiring. I mean, there was a lot of holding
Right.
at the
Yeah.
end of that fight.
Yeah. He basically figured in the end that you know his guy couldn't really fight on the inside. I mean, I give him credit. The guy was strong. You know, he had a good left hook, of course. You know, he looked for the most part. He had power on both hands, but he just wasn't the best inside work. That's why, like, if you really look, most of his power was on the end of his punches.
Yep.
But on the inside, he wasn't so effective. But you know, like I said, shout out to Joshua though. He still trying to make the adjustments. It was just a little too late. That's
Yep.
all.
And the thing was with that one as well is that hook that Plania landed was always the same looping left hook, and
Yep.
um, as I believe Adam, I can't say his last name, but from SN Boxing pointed out is that a lot of people, not American fighters, use that looping hook more than what the
Right.
American fighters do.
Yeah, especially a lot of European fighters, definitely, and I've known that from you know just my days in the amateurs. They
Yeah,
love that loop, you know, that loop around that left hook. That's something that I've seen a lot just in
yeah,
my amateur experience. But like I said, the more styles he continues to see as a fighter, the more he grows. So
yeah. The more
I'm
you
pretty sure
evolve.
Joshua is definitely going to grow from this fight, and we just have to wait and see what looks when he looks on the comeback.
Yeah, and then as you said earlier, a loss doesn't define everything. You had a couple losses. To
Right,
me,
look at me.
yeah, to me that second loss. I mean, hey, the judges said it. I'll say that. But the first one, that one was a tough loss. I mean, watching it was tough. Um, but yeah, you responded perfectly, and I remember the first time I seen you in person. I believe was when you fought in Fresno against, I cannot remember his name, but it was a Filipino fighter. Um,
Yeah.
the
I'm forgetting myself. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
Moralde.
yeah. And the thing was, that kid was coming in with a lot of
He had a
confidence.
lot of momentum.
He had just come
He
in
had
from
just beat the
knocking.
undefeated fighter.
Yeah, and he had just knocked that guy out, and I was like, all right, this should be good. And you took him apart, scold him. But a lot of that, I would say, the difference is obviously you could attest to it too. Is the trainer that you have now, the training camp. You're in
Right.
with some of the best
It's the
fighters in the
trainer.
world.
It's the experience. Like I said, like for instance, like you pointed out with the Shafikov fight, I took that as a learning experience. It's one of those fights that it can either make you or break you. So like with the Shafikov fight, you know, I took it as like nobody. I haven't like since that fight. I believe in my mind, I haven't been through that much war since then. So
Yeah,
everyone afterwards is like, you know, I say to myself, I've been through worse, so I can dig deep. I know what it takes now. It's because it's like I said, it's level. So I know what it takes to dig deep and keep pushing forward. Because I've been at the worst. I've been at my lowest. So that's why when you watch that the fight with Moralde, if you watch it, like the whole fight, I just kept pushing forward and
yeah.
forward, and I was just breaking them down every round.
Yeah, and that was what was impressive to me was the way he had fought the previous fight, and then he came to you, and you had him against the ropes. He was holding, he was
Right.
moving around, and I was like, man, Jamel's just
And
dominating him.
the commission actually told me, I believe around this, like after the fight, they told me that they actually wanted to stop it around the seventh, but the corner kept pushing for him to keep
Yeah,
going. But yeah, I know he was already he was done definitely towards the end of that fight. But it just shows, you know, like you pointed out from the team that I have now, and how long I've come as a fighter. And every fight, I feel like I just gotten better and better over time.
yeah, and you've improved drastically. I mean, you went to a world champ, and
Right.
I mean your last fight was against a real good fighter in Lamont Roach, and you did what you could. You got caught, but you came back like a
Yeah,
champion,
yeah.
and you did a
Exactly.
good
I
job.
weathered the storm, and I said, like I said, every it's an experience in every fight. You know, I give Lamont this credit. He was like I say, young, hungry, undefeated, prospect, well, contender, number one contender. So I like, and then with the Ito fight, everyone had me pretty much as, at the underdog, a huge underdog at
Yeah.
least. But like I made that fight look easy because I believed in myself, and like I said, the team behind me, just we just had a great game plan.
Yeah, and that fight with Ito, that was a very, to me, it was dominant, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Ito at that time was coming in off his win, looking real good, and you, as you did with Moralde, you took
Right,
him
yeah, yeah,
apart.
yeah. He had a dominant performance over Christopher Diaz, who
Yeah,
a lot of people had a lot of his ceiling was high at the time. Christopher Diaz was definitely he had a high ceiling going into that fight.
yep,
Ito dominated that fight, and then he took on his mandatory, who was undefeated at the time, and then he stopped him in Japan, and then
yeah,
they came me, and so everybody thought that Ito had the more impressive wins, but like I said, I just believed in me in the end, and I just followed my team instructions, and here we are today.
yeah, and that's what you got to do, and that's what you've been doing. So, props and congratulations. And to me, I'm gonna say, and this is a joke to a point, but it's unfair what you got in your corner sometimes, man. You got Bomac. I mean, the couple times that I've seen you fight here, you got Bomac, and then you got Terrence, you got Nelson, you got all
Yeah,
them in the corner just giving
right,
instructions. Man, I remember that last fight that you had at the Save Mart Center. I'm behind Terrence, and I hear him telling you things, and then I'm seeing you use it. I hear Bomac tell you something,
right.
I see you use it, and I'm just like, man, that poor kid on the other side has no. He's getting instructions from one of the best trainers in the world, one of the best fighters, and that kid's over there like, I'm gonna go in here and what?
Right, right.
So I mean, how does it feel? Because when I see you guys train, I see the videos. It seems more as a family as opposed to
Oh
just
yeah,
a training camp.
it's definitely. There's no egos involved in our camp. Like I said, Bud, we know he's basically one of the best fighters in the world. Depending on what you rank him in the pound for pound. But the fact is, he doesn't come with that attitude like as he's better than anybody. He
Yeah,
looks at like I said, he looks at me as on the same plateau. It's like if he's a world champion, I'm a world champion. We're just both world champions. And with that being said, he's just going to push you harder and harder. And with no excuses. Not he's not trying to hear that. Oh, he has this many belts. Or you only have your first world title. No, you're a world champion. So he expects more out of you now in order for you to keep elevated. It just doesn't stop here. There's more out there that he wants you to go and get. And like I said, at times I can honestly say that he pushes me harder than my trainers. And
yeah.
Bomac is a hell of a trainer, but there's days where Bud will push me harder than Bo. But I appreciate it in the end because all it does is just make me better,
Yeah.
a better individual inside that ring.
Yeah, and I mean, you have champions helping each other. That's always a good
Right,
sign. And a fighter is only as good as his team, and the team is only as good as his trainer. And you got Bomac, you got Crawford, you got you got, as I said, Steve Nelson, who's coming up. I mean, you got a good team
right.
right there. Good stable fighters. I mean, there's a lot to like there, and I've seen all you guys in action. It's impressive, man. Especially when you guys are training.
Thank you, Flynn. Thank you.
It's funny. It's funny. Like I've seen when you're training, I could just see Terrence in the background looking like he wants to tell you something, and then he'll
Yeah,
come up. Yeah,
man,
and it's
he's
like,
always like I said. His eyes are always watching, no matter
yeah,
what. And like I said, he's always there. Like I can hear him screaming at me from across the gym, but he's always watching to make sure I'm doing what I gotta do.
yeah. And as you know, and as I've said, that's a good thing to have, especially with someone of his caliber at the level that he is. For him to be able to just
Right.
come out to you like that, that's just that's always a good thing to have. And as I've said, I've always admired you guys as a team from afar. Um, As I said, regardless though, at the end of the day, I'm still going to give Bomac and Terrence buckets one of these days whenever we
Hey, they'll be out there. They'll take that challenge up, bro.
Hey, it's funny though. I don't know if Bomac remembers. It was in Carson, probably 3-4 years ago when Valdez fought Quigg. I was just playing around. I seen him in the lobby, and I was like, "Bomac, I'll give you buckets." And he looked at me and got up, and he was like, "Let's go." And I don't know if he was serious or not, but I first thought was if he's that confident, man, he might get me. I was like, so I was just like, I'm gonna give you buckets.
He might know something. He
Yeah,
might
I was
know a
like, I'm
trick or
just
two.
playing. And the reason I say that too is when I seen the video with Terrence and Errol Spence when they're talking, and he tells Errol that Bomac will beat Derek James in the race, and Bomac doesn't say nothing. I was like, Bomac might really be fast if he's not
Man, they
saying
say they
no.
say they say Bo man, they say Bo, but his side got some wheels on him, man.
Yeah,
So
so
he,
so
he might.
yeah, so when I seen that, I was like, all right, maybe he would have got me that time. So, but now going back to your fight with Oquendo, What do you see and what have you seen from him? Because he's a tough out, man. He's fought some of the best fighters, of the last few years. He's fought Johnny
Right.
Gonzalez. He's fought Abner Maris. He's fought these guys. What do you see from him, and what are you going to try to accomplish? Maybe that they couldn't have in their fights.
Like I said, he's tough. You can't look over anybody.
Yeah,
As we're seeing with from some top rank these fights, I've
yeah,
seen a few upsets already. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So you can't look over anybody. Of course, you got especially with me putting a world title on the line. He's probably looking at this as his last chance to become a world
yes,
champion. So you have to take that into consideration. But like I said, I just have to believe in what I've been working on these past few weeks, and just go out there and do what I do. But like I said, I'm not looking over him. I know he's gonna come to fight, and we know that.
yeah,
Like I said, he gave Lamont a good fight before Lamont fought me. You know what I mean? So I've been watching him for some time anyway. But like I said, I just have to go in there just to keep my composure and do what I normally do, like as you've been seeing over the last couple of years now.
yeah. And speaking of, as you said, Lamont, he's fought Maris, he's fought Gonzalez, and they all seem to have. They really couldn't do what they normally did in previous fights. Johnny Gonzalez was out there knocking guys out in 2-3 rounds. Had a little bit of issues with them. Mares, was very dominant over in his time. Lately it's things have
Right.
happened, but he had problems too. I think he went the full 10 or 12 rounds with Oquendo, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not too many guys out there stopping him, but like that,
yeah,
we know that.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He's a tough fighter. So, as you said, they talk about other people that should have got the shot, but Oquendo's a very tough and worthy opponent, especially with the time frame that's going on, and with
Right.
fights that can be made. It's not a walkover by any means.
No, I think it'll be a decent matchup from what I've seen. Especially in those early stages because if he comes in shape, he's gonna come out strong.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. I think Andre Ward and Timothy Brothers said the best in the beginning when these fights were being made, being brought to television was the fact that you're gonna see who's been really taking care of themselves during
yeah,
this quarantine and stay in shape. So that's what I mean. But if you come in strong in the early stages, it'll be it just may be entertaining. But as you know, like I said, I've been working. I'm always working. And I've been fortunate at least to have a full camp on my end. I have a boxing gym. I have a strength
yeah.
conditioning facility that I can use and things of that nature. So like I said, like at the end of the day, I just gotta focus on me and just be the best I possibly be, and then fight this fight like it's the toughest fight of my career.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what you got to do. Every fight, as you said, is going to be the toughest one until you get to the very end. Um,
Right.
and now we know your plan for this year has always been Frampton. Have there been any discussions about that down the road? If there's going to be, hopefully, some lift of restrictions, so maybe he could come over here, or maybe if you
Um,
have to go over there.
as far as I know, we're still trying to make that fight in 2020. So hopefully by the year's end at least, that we definitely can make that fight. If anything, like you said, like you pointed out, it probably won't, more likely it won't happen in Belfast because it'll be too cold, and so
Yeah,
you have to have a certain time frame of the year to
yeah,
have fights out there. But as you've seen in interviews, he's vocally said that he wouldn't mind having it at the Garden or somewhere in New York.
yeah,
Oh, it doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, I believe the fight will happen this year. That's why I'm not really, as you know, like when everyone's trying to throw their name in a hat and call me out and say this and that and the third, and I was ducking everybody. Original plan has always been this year to fight Frampton.
yeah,
Either way, even like I say, I'm just here trying to fight the best available. Even if like I said, I was surprised I was even called out by guys like Abner Maris, who hasn't fought in
yeah,
a couple of years. I took that as a compliment because like I said, I respect Abner. He's done great things in the sport of boxing. But if we, like I said, the ultimate goal, as you all know, is always just to unify and fight another world champion as well. Also,
yeah. Yeah, so speaking of that weight class that you're in, 130, you got some real good fighters there,
right.
in the contender level and at the champion level. You got Burchell, we got Santa Cruz, we got you. Um, who am I missing? I know I'm missing someone.
Shout out to my boy Jojo Diaz.
There you go, JoJo. JoJo, shout out to JoJo. That's four real good fighters there. Then you got the contenders that are there, and you got people that will be coming up maybe within a year or so. Uh, what do you think of as that weight class in boxing, just in general? It's always seems to be a good mix of fighters at that weight class. and now doesn't
Right.
look any different. So what do you feel
Oh
like?
yeah, I mean, like I said, right now, the lightweight division also is getting a lot of
Hmm.
shine as you see with guys, but like pretty much from around, from the featherweight and the lightweights around, just in that area, there's definitely a lot of good fights to be made. But yeah, I look at it as there should be no excuse unless like except for the virus maybe, but there should be no
Yep.
excuse why we can't make some of these big fights. If you look at it, even with myself. The last fight I fought a Golden Boy fighter. Okendo's a Golden Boy fighter. So,
Yep.
if we can make it, even if my boy JoJo wanted to do a unification, we could do that over there with Golden Boy. I've called that Leo Santa Cruz, and obviously, like I say, we still have Berchelt on my side of the street and things
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, there's a lot of good fights out there to be made. But right now, you know me, I'm just taking my time and one fight at a time. And like I said, right now, Kendall's the guy in front of me, and then hopefully we can get Carl Frampton over here so we can hurry. Because like I said, I feel as a man, I kept my man of my word, so
Yeah.
I feel like I still owe him that fight.
Yep.
So, but like I said, 2021 it's a lot of a lot of
Yeah.
great things. Not to mention, we don't know. Depending on the Lomachenko Teofimo Lopez situation, Lomachenko's supposed to be coming back down to
130.
130 supposedly. So there's like I said, there's a lot of great fights out there that can be made.
Yeah, and with Lomachenko, depending on what, as you said, what happens. Hey, I read today. I think they said September 19th. Depending on how that fight goes, we'll see what happens from there.
Right.
But yeah, there's great fights to be made. Now, my question, because as well as being a great boxer, you are also a boxing fan. So, speaking of 135, I'll go there to 130. With these young fighters, which one do you think has the possibility to being the man at that weight? We have Ryan Garcia, who's doing his thing right now.
Right.
We got Devin Haney, Teofimo, Gervonta Davis. I'll throw in Gabriel Flores, fighters like that. Which one of those do you think has the that right now you would put ahead of the others?
I think right now in terms of that younger group, you gotta put Teofimo up there.
Yeah,
But like I say, even if he wins, beats Lom, especially if he beats Lomachenko, you gotta give him
yeah,
respect. But like I said, I can't keep him out there too long because he already plans on moving to 140.
yeah,
So with the rest of with the remainder, even though he gets a lot of slack for for how he got his title and things of that nature, I give Devin Haney a lot of. Devin Haney he's actually good. He just like I say, he just hasn't had that one opponent to
yeah,
really showcase what he can really do. I give credit to Ryan Garcia. He's doing what he got to do to stay in the limelight. I know people give Tank hell for how he looked against Gamboa, but there's definitely a lot of fights in that loop that that could be made between amongst those individuals. But right now, I would have to say Teofimo out of that younger generation is the guy.
yeah. And I would agree with you because he has, as you said, that one win, and it wasn't like it was a drag out fight. It was one shot, and it was over.
Yeah, and
And
Richard Comey is a tough dude. Richard
yeah,
Comey, even his two losses, people said they could have went either way.
yeah,
The fights. He put my boy Robert Easter Jr. That was a good fight.
yeah. That was a great fight.
He went over there. He went over to Russia to fight Dan Shavkov, who beat me. And I've heard plenty of times people said that fight could have went either way as well.
Yeah,
But then what Teofimo did, no one has never done that to Richard Comey. So
yeah,
people remember people thought that Teofimo was going to have problems because he didn't look his best the fight before against the
yeah,
Japanese fighter. So,
yeah.
but when he went out there, he performed. It was a great performance, and he handled business.
Yeah, he got his moment and he took advantage of it. And as you said, that was the
Right.
one fight from that younger generation that he shined. Ryan Garcia,
Right.
maybe when he gets it, if he does end up getting Linares, maybe he does take that moment.
I think Ryan, man, he just has so many issues within his circle that he needs to get worked out, man.
Yeah,
Like that's the issues I'm seeing with Ryan. It's just too much. There's too much drama, and like
yeah,
at the end of the day, when you have contracts involved, you really can't argue with the
yeah,
people who signed the checks. That's how I look
yeah,
at it, man. Especially like if you got an issue with your team, I would say it's not always the best way to go publicly out there on social media and just basically bash whoever and that you feel
yeah,
like you have an issue with also. So
yeah,
I feel like that stuff like that's gonna hold him back because they put him. He's supposed to come. He's supposed to bring Golden Boy boxing back. right the eye for it. But now
Yeah,
they talking about putting the Virgil Ortiz in the spotlight. So
yeah,
it's not a good look for him.
yeah. And the thing is, at this time, he's got to understand the point that we are in right now. You're not going to get that money that you were thinking because he draws a gate. That's true. There's no gate to draw right now,
Right.
so it's going to be a little harder. So I
Right.
mean, still 200,000 at this point for someone that's not a champion. That's that,
I
to
mean,
me.
I've actually I speak to guys behind the scenes, and I'm being honest. I actually heard them. They came back and tried to give him his minimum, which is 250K. Then I also heard they try to add in up to a total of 300K, and that's what I mean. It's like
Yeah,
during this pandemic, you really, what I mean. You should be really grateful, especially if you're basically making purses that world champions are making right
yeah,
now. You know what I mean? And you don't even, and it's not even to fight basically a top 10 good person. It's like to be making these crazy demands and asking for this and that, especially like your his whole main thing. Let's be honest, his whole main thing was he was negotiating based off his following.
yeah.
But
His
it's
social
like your
media.
following, yeah. If your following can't buy these tickets now,
Yeah,
that really doesn't do nothing for you at the table at the moment. It's not like you can go out here and sell out an arena because no one's coming to an arena. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
exactly.
it is what it is, and hopefully, what I'm saying, his team gets it together and works it out because, like I said, at the end of the day, he's holding his career back. Like I
Yeah,
said, as you've seen, Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, they're going to move on either way.
yeah, exactly. And as you said, it's the following. And shout out to Rick Merrigan. He made a good point. He said a lot of these younger fighters want to be like these younger rappers. They care more about the fame than the actual money of that comes with it. So
Right,
you're worried about, oh, I got 3 million followers on Twitter or Instagram, whatever, but they're not paying the tickets to get into the fight. So how are you going to make that money? That's where it's coming from. It's like
right,
a rapper could have 300 million followers on all his social media. He drops an album. Let's say everybody just goes and downloads it for free. It doesn't matter. So he's not
it
getting
doesn't. Yeah,
paid for it.
exactly. It brings no revenue at the end of the day.
Exactly. So when Rick pointed that out, that made the most sense, and that was as clear as it could be. Is that so many of these young fighters worry so much about the social media following that they're not worried about what they're doing. Yeah, Ryan Garcia, he has the look of a world champion of a few weight classes minimum, maybe.
Right.
But he's so worried and enthralled in his social media that he thinks, oh, I got 200 or 2 million followers. I should make $1 million per fight. No, man, you're not. You're not Canelo. You're not. Crawford. You're not Wilder. You're not Fury. You're not at that level
Right.
yet. You have to earn
Right.
it, and it's something that I mean, I think he'll get to, and hopefully it does get worked out because he is
Yeah,
entertaining to
that's the thing
watch.
about it. The kid can fight. The kid can fight, but I
Yes,
mean, you gotta just earn it and work for it. You can't expect everything to be handed to you. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, some of the stuff he actually sets himself up for. Because what, just 2 fights ago, he just posted up, only tweeted, signed the biggest lucrative deal for a
Yep.
prospect. You know what I mean? And then now all of a sudden you're not happy with the money. Like I don't like, and then you gotta understand though what you're doing in the face of the other fighters and under that
Yep.
same umbrella. It's like, yo, like we're hungry too. We're
Yeah.
working. We want to fight, and it's like you pretty much got everything handed to you, and you're still not satisfied. It's like a slap in the face to those who are
Yep.
still striving just to even see a decent payday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're talking about, as you said, Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz, it's like I feel like they could tell him, "Hey, man, I'll give you $1,000," and he's like, "I'll go fight right now." Like it just looks like
Right.
he's ready to fight no matter when, where, and against who. That's just what I get from him. And as you said with Jojo Diaz, he's always asking for a fight. He's always posting something.
Yeah, yeah, I
I'm
see a lot of.
capable.
I mean, like I said, Sinisa Estrada, somebody who I personally know as well. She's even on the women's side. I
Yep.
seen where they went to her when fights had fell apart. I remember not too long ago, something happened with Diego De La Hoya. I think it was a
Oh
weight
yeah.
issue, and they asked her to step in, to carry the card, and she brings action for
Yep.
women's body. She's actually her opponent. So yes, there's a lot of people just on that roster alone who's definitely hungry and worthy of the spotlight. But it's like Ryan is basically the number one prospect, of course. But when you take advantage and look over that time, somebody else will step in and take your
Yep.
spot in over time.
And the thing is it's more than likely there's someone there on the side speaking into his ear that really shouldn't be doing that,
Oh yeah,
and that's what it is.
you know there
Yeah,
is. Some,
and
I'm sure there's every stuff that come just out of the blue, or out of his
yeah,
own. Someone's definitely in his ear.
yeah, and the thing is that is at this time you would know not to do that because of what specifically is going on during this pandemic. If it was another
Right,
time, maybe you got a point. That 200,000, if that's not what you signed for, fine. But during
right.
what's going on, that's a good amount of money. You're seeing these fights that are going on. I mean, Shakur Stevenson to me is one of the best young fighters in the game. I actually forgot to mention him earlier,
Right.
but he's one of the
That's my
best
guy.
fighters that's out there. And I don't remember, but it was it 200,000 or maybe a little less for his fight, 150, right?
He made four. He
Oh
made
yeah, that's
four,
right.
but
But
remember
he's a
though,
champ.
before before this whole thing hit, and because this whole lockdown hit the weekend he supposed to fight, they was basically giving him $1 million purse, so he
Yeah,
took a huge cut, just to
yeah,
get back in the ring. But yeah, I never heard Shakur complain
yeah,
or if anything. Like you see him now, he's just ready to get back in the ring. He
yeah.
just wants to stay active. He just wants to go out there and be great. And like I
Exactly.
said, this is a world champion.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and that's the thing is he's a
that's what I
world
mean.
champ.
Like Ryan was close to making purses of a guy who who's a world champion,
Yeah,
and one of the guys that people are saying could be one of the future pound for pound fighters.
yep,
But Shakur is not out there complaining and complaining about stimulations and stipulations and things like that and things of
yeah,
that nature.
yeah. And that's the thing if you have he's got the following, but he doesn't have that place in boxing yet.
Right,
And that's my thing with Ryan. Again, he's got the looks, he's got the talent, he's got everything that he needs, but he's and then again he's young. I understand that, but it's still he
right.
just can't do that yet.
And that's the thing. You gotta understand, it's business, man. Like I
Yeah,
said, right now, everyone, there's no money out there to be throwing around
yep,
to fight. Especially when you're basically going to fight whoever's available, and you're still getting six figure paydays. You really can't complain. It's
yeah,
either I look at it like this: you can make something.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You could sit at home and just watch everybody else go, or And the
Right.
thing is, the more inactive a fighter is as well. Now with these fights coming back, the rankings coming back, he might lose a couple spots somewhere, and he might lose what he
Yeah.
could have got within a couple fights. So, um, again, hopefully he comes back and we get to see that again because those are good action. But speaking of those fights with Virgil Ortiz, that's going to be one packed weekend now because I believe Top Rank has a card that week. Golden Boy and now Thompson Boxing out there in California as well.
PBC.
Oh
PB.
yeah, PBC on the 25th. Yeah, and they're
You know what
all
I'm
good
saying? Yeah.
fights.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
but
like I said, it's just good to see boxing back. Period. So
yes,
lots of people, like I said, you see it all the time. One minute people are complaining I miss boxing, which boxing come back, next minute people complaining about the matchup.
yeah,
Just be happy that we even seeing sports in general. Period. So,
yeah,
like I said, we gotta do what we gotta do with what we have right now. But like I said, once things have started to clear up and we start getting those crowds back in those arenas, you will get the fights that we all wanted to see to begin with.
exactly. And I can't wait to see it. Hopefully it happens soon. But that it's where we're at right now, and it will clear up in time. So other questions here now. You were speaking about 135 and all that. Is there ever an
Right.
option where you think you might move up to that weight class as well? Or you sure you're going to be stuck at 130?
There's always an option, like I said, man, because if you've seen it, it's been hard to get the big fights that I want at 130 as it is. So if there's an option for me to become at least a two division world champion or such, I will take that option. But
Yep.
yeah, I thought, trust me, I thought about going back up to 135. So, it definitely has, came in my head a few times. But I'm just focused on what's available now at 130, of course. But yeah, definitely, I have thought about maybe making a run again at 135 and grabbing another world title there.
Yep. And with the team you got, I could see that happening definitely without a hesitation. If you were to move up in there, I would believe you have a great shot to win the title there.
Thank you.
No problem. Now, I know with everything that's happened, your original fight date was set for Memorial Day, or I mean Veterans Day weekend, right? Or Memorial Day, Memorial Day.
No, it's crazy, man. Like this how I mean what I mean. Like, I was real patient. Actually wanted to come back and fight in March around the same
Yeah,
time that Scrub was a fight. Matter of
yeah,
fact, But then Frampton, he had the surgery with the hands and
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
that's right.
So to be a good sport, and I was patient. And I was actually supposed to fight him. I think I would have fought him last weekend, and it would have been June 13th or whatever.
Yeah,
We were supposed to fight in Belfast,
that's right.
but
That's right.
yeah, things kept getting pushed back. But I can't complain. I'm just happy just to be back in the mix of things. And but yeah, man, like I said, man, I wasn't actually gonna fight early in the year, but my team wanted me to just be cool and patient, and we didn't know this whole COVID-19 thing was gonna hit, of course.
Yeah,
But like I said, it is what it is. I'm here now. I'm ready to go, and I just gotta make the most of it.
yeah, yeah. And hey, as you said, things happen. None of us expected that. I mean,
Right.
we heard little bits of things here and there, but it was kind of like, well, it's not too bad. And then just one day, it flipped on everything.
Yeah.
I think once it really hit the NBA the way it did that night,
Oh
it
yeah.
just shifted everything. Because I remember I was hearing about it, and I was coming home, sat down to watch the game, and then they were like, "Hey, I heard Rudy Gobert has it," and it was like, "What?" And
Yeah, I was actually in Los Angeles that day too, and
oh man,
luckily I had a flight the next day to come back home. Whenever like as soon as the NBA shut down, the very next day I flew back home, and that's when I was saying that yeah, everything was
yeah,
just done.
yeah. It was. I mean, it came so quick. It was like I'm watching the game, and then the rest of the season's postponed, and it was like, wow, okay, this is real now.
It's
Like,
real. It's real. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
because
real.
as we've said, sports is what's supposed to be that distraction, that takeaway, that to put your mind at ease for a little bit. And once that was taken away from us, it was kind of like, man, you know,
Reality check.
yeah. And I know I've seen a lot of people say, that now they won't take what they have for granted anymore. And I've heard people say, oh, it took something like this. And for me, I don't take anything for granted anymore. And to a point, I did up until then for certain things. Like,
Right.
I honestly, man, I miss going to the beach. I miss the fights, man. I miss being able to just,
Man, I miss even going to see a good movie at the movie theaters, man. It's
yeah,
like the little thing. Like whenever I'm home, I used to always go to the movies with my family, but it's like, man, like the small things I couldn't even do, man. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But
Like,
for the most part, I try to turn the negative into the positive by which was like, during the whole quarantine, I just spent the time I used to bond with the family more. But yeah,
yeah,
man, it's the small things that I just I miss.
yeah, yeah, and that's the truth. I mean, for us, for me, my daughter and my fiance, our thing was there's a buffet like maybe 5 minutes down the street from our house, but they have it's a Chinese food buffet, but they have everything. They have a little teppanyaki grill to the side too,
Right, right, right,
and it's something like that. It's like we would go, and my daughter's like, I'm gonna eat this, this, and this, and then I'm gonna get the cotton candy. I'm gonna get the ice cream, and it's like,
right,
okay,
right.
cool. And now it's like, man, I can't even go down the street to get some frozen yogurt. That simple things that you can go and do, and
Right, and if you can go now, you gotta you have
yeah,
6 feet apart, and you gotta get it and go. You can't
yeah.
sit
You
down and
can't sit
enjoy
down and
nothing,
enjoy
man.
it, man.
Nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as you said, it's the little things, but as you said, bonding time. I mean, I always spent time with my daughter, but now it's like just being around her more, especially now that she's growing up. It, it does show a little bit more. She's 4 years old, and as you said with
Right.
yours about her hitting your Apple Card, I mean, this girl right here, she already. Can I see your wallet real quick? Nah, all I know is you
No,
probably
yeah,
already know
yeah,
how
you
to
gotta
use
watch
it.
your kids, bro. You gotta watch them, bro.
Yeah, man. I've told people so many times, we'll go somewhere now, or whenever we go anywhere, it's man. I hope I at least get a water or a soda out of this because her and my fiance, they get everything. They get clothes, shoes, Bath and Body Works, whatever. I'm like, man, as long
Right.
as I get me something to drink, I'm cool. but but it's as you said, it's the bonding time, man, and I appreciate that so much more now after all of this is happening because you get to talk to your family more often now, spend more time with your family, and it does. I mean, to an effect, it has helped out in that sense.
Right, yeah, of course, man. Like I said, man, I personally lost people to this virus,
Yeah.
so that's another thing. I don't take things for granted.
Yep.
Especially because I'm from New York, so of course I know a few people that have caught the virus, especially out there. But yeah, man, just like definitely spending time with family is like because I seen a close friend of mine, she lost her mother,
Yep.
what I mean? And it's crazy. So yeah, like I'm just taking it. Taking anything for granted. I'm taking it one day at a time, and I'm just making the most of what I have here.
Yeah, and that's what we got right now, and especially the time that we're in. And to the other side of everything that's going on in this country right now, I mean, uh, it's a little crazy, but I mean, I tell everybody, just keep grinding, keep pushing forward, and we're gonna get through this. We always do, and yeah, I mean, it's just tough to see some of the things that we see on TV now, because now it's like
Oh
we don't
yeah.
have that, as you said, we don't have that distraction to be like, you know what, I don't want to pay attention to this or I don't want to hear this. But now it's like, man, this is really bad. But this has also helped because it helped open the eyes of the country to see exactly the way some of us were being treated. And it's crazy that
Right.
people were like, that really happened. It's like, man, I had that happen to me many times, and I thought it was just like, hey, man, that's what happens to us. Like, honestly, it's
Right. Right. Right.
that's just how I felt. So, I mean, in a way, this quarantine, has helped open the eyes to a lot of things, and I mean, it's life, man.
Oh yeah, because yeah, definitely all we have right now is just we got plenty of time in our hands.
Yeah,
Just to sit back and reflect on things. Like I tell people all the time, if you haven't used this time to do anything constructive as well with yourself, you just wasted your own time
yeah,
and with your life. But yeah, this since everything's been going on with the country, it definitely has opened the eyes of
yeah,
many to where change is starting to happen. Yes, sometimes it takes tragedy, but like I always say, little progress is better than no progress. So
exactly.
I can't really complain.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. I coach football for kids, and I always tell them after every practice, if you feel like you got 1% better today, then that's what matters. And
Doesn't
that's the
matter.
thing. Little progress is better than nothing. If you feel like you could have done more, then you pretty much wasted 24 hours. If you feel like, man, there's nothing else I could have done today, but I learned something anything that week,
Right.
perfect.
They learn
That's what
right.
matters. Yeah. So yeah, as you said, if you've used this time and not done nothing with it, then hey, I mean, I got this started up in the last few weeks, so I'm happy about that. Um, and hopefully keep going forward with that. And I'm just happy to see, as you said, boxing back on. I know we got basketball hopefully coming back at the end of next month, and but I hope everybody continues to use the voices like they've been doing lately. That's really what I like to see.
Right.
Yeah. So now, as you talked, Twitter, we're talking about how the people were saying these things. Some days, and I laugh because I seen when forgot who you left a comment to where you're like, "Oh, I got time for the drama today." You know, it sometimes you're just like, you know what, I don't really care to look at it, or I'm just too busy, or sometimes you're like, let me laugh and let me see what's going on.
Yeah, sometimes I just look at it, let me laugh and see what's going on. But it's like, for me, I just don't like when people start putting out the false narratives because sometimes those things pick up steam. So
Yep.
sometimes you gotta just nip it in the butt before it gets like seriously like I have nothing against any contender out there because like I said, I was once a contender. So of
Yeah.
course, you gotta do what you gotta do to get to get seen or to be heard of. When guys make seem like I'm ducking guys who are nowhere on the radar, and like you pointed out, I've called out the best super featherweight in the world. I was willing as a world champion to go take my belt and travel overseas in somebody else's backyard,
Yeah.
who's a two division world champion. So it's like some of the stuff is like it's just way out of proportion. And are you guys really serious? Like, but me, like I said, I don't even go out there and really disrespect them. I just throw out the facts, and,
Yeah.
and I just let it be known from there. But yeah, like sometimes like, I got time for the foolishness too. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna go out there and try to discredit you or down you or make it seem like you're nobody and you're unworthy. Like no, I'm just gonna throw out the like okay, if you want to put this out, let's at least throw out the facts and tell tell the people why we're at this stage where we're at
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. That day was funny because I've always heard, or you see people get talked about, and I've seen that one talking about, oh, Jamel did this, Jamel did that, and then I just seen you, man, and you're like, oh, I got time for today, and I laughed because more often than not, you're just like, yeah, whatever, or oh, good one,
Right.
but then that day, and actually now I see who it is. It was a KO Mercedes. Shout out to Mercedes, funny follow on Twitter as well. But that's who you responded to, man. And yeah,
Yeah,
that day I was like, oh
yeah.
man, it was just too funny because it was like I haven't seen nothing go on for the last couple of days, and then there you go, you're like, hey man, I got time today. Who? What's up?
Yeah, man, cause like people try to make these fake beefs that are like, come on, man. I'm not like, come on, man. I'm focusing on what's in front of me now, like, and it's no disrespect to anybody, but it's like in reality, why would I want to take a step backwards to
Yeah,
fight this person or that? I'm trying to fight the guys who had the names, who had the resume, who have something worth fighting for. And it's like now I'm afraid to fight this guy or like who hasn't really done much in his career. I mean, probably like I said, we all started somewhere, but it's like at least earn the opportunity and
Yeah,
continue doing what you gotta do. If you, but other than that, it's like if you don't bring nothing to the table, like how do you see that? Like what's gonna get me? Like what's gonna be for me to get up for that fight? What's
yeah.
gonna motivate me to get up for that fight? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, and I understand that completely, as you said, and yeah, they got to get to that point, and for them, it's nothing to hate on them when they're given the opportunity. That's a good thing that they both said, oh, I accept. That shows that they're hungry. The thing is, as you said, the fight was already made. You already had that set up, and then they got the opportunity. But
Listen,
uh,
I've even gotten like calls from guys within like top rank, like Muhammad Reddy, who just told me just to like for the most part ignore a lot of it and just focus on what's in front of me. But it's like like especially when we're like with some of these guys like we have the same promoter, like
yeah,
for one if these fights really want to be made, they could have been easily made. You know what I mean? They
yeah,
could be made. We have the same promoter, but for them to be like think like the pandemic all of a sudden made them, the number one contender or whatever, or whatever. And I'm like, man, listen, I was supposed to fight. I'm supposed to go take my belt to go travel overseas, and fight in enemy territory. And so you mean
yeah.
tell me that I'm afraid to fight somebody here with no crowd and who hasn't, who's not really known? Like
Hmm.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And right now the thing is going to be the rating. So the guys that they mentioned, their names to in the fact of a contender, they're going to be there. But
Right.
it's still going to be maybe a couple fights before they get to that spot, and that's fine. The good thing is there, with as you said, the little so-called beefs that people are trying to create or saying that you duck in. When the fight does maybe get made, it'll have a little bit of intrigue now, more name because
Exactly.
remember this was last year they said that they were supposed to fight, something like that, and
Right.
that always adds a little intrigue, a little story, and that's always a good thing as well.
No, I agree. I agree. But like now I'm just taking it day at a time and taking it with stride. Like I say, for most part, you see, I just joke. Like I don't never take it to heart or personal, but some of these people, some of these guys do. They
Yeah,
get upset. They go run to the media and then they go put out this crazy story saying that I was turning down fights and things like that. But I'm like, listen, man, I got receipts, as they say,
yeah,
where like this fight, like coming from our own promoter, why this fight was made, and like I said, man, like Top Rank went out their way to make a fight with a Golden Boy fighter
yeah,
because the fighter fit the description of what we're trying to face, and then on top of that, um, like I mean, like I said, it's just a lot, man. And
yeah,
I'm like, man, like come on, like they went out their way, like Top Rank went out their way,
yeah,
something to make this fight. They could, yeah, we could have easily made this fight within house, but there's a purpose behind everything that happens. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So like I said, take it up with your man, take it up with your manager. Like I said, we all speak in the same circle.
Yeah, and as you said, and the good thing is that as you said, Top Rank went out of their way. I mean, the fights next week too. I believe both of them, both of the main events, were both also going to be Top Rank and Golden Boy. And that's
Right?
also
Yeah.
a good thing that's going on is that at this point in time, the more that they work together is a good thing as well because Golden Boys
Exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
have
Build a relationship.
yeah
Continue building the relationship. So when boxing really comes back, you can really start making those fights for other promoters that because you all look out for each other during the pandemic.
yeah
But like I've heard managers even complain saying that it's not fair that Top Rank is going. Like man, listen, man, this is boxing is business. Like they
and
don't.
you
No,
know
no
what
no one said that Top Rank has to be restricted to fight within just Top Rank. No, if you can go out there and continue building relationships with even with PBC fight because like they mentioned the Casamayo or whatever
yeah
when he put the fight like that's a PBC fighter. So like
yeah
if I'd rather see even other fighters from other promotional bodies work with each other because like I said when this
yes
whole thing ends it makes it a lot easier for those fights that we really
yeah
want because these promoters put a difference to the side and they work for the greater good.
yeah, and that's the thing is that working together like that makes better fights and makes better options. And then let's say one of the Golden Boy fighters that holds a belt, and this is just in general. Let's say they fight somebody on Top Rank side that has a belt. They unify there, and then when they go back, they could keep that as in house and keep two belts there,
Right.
or you take a belt from somebody on Golden Boy side, and then
Right.
Top Rank has, hey, you know what, let's unify here. Now we got two or we got three belts, and regardless, just making the fights, all the promotional companies, because as we all know, the one of the main fights we all want to see is Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. That's a great fight to look at.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, we already got Wilder and Fury, and that looked to seem to go off without a hitch. And from everything I heard, everything was cordial. So that's a good sign there. And the Top Rank and Golden Boy, we always know that Oscar and Bob have had an interesting relationship. We'll say it that way for the last few years. So to know that they're
Yeah.
working together, that's always a good thing, man. Because especially at the lower weight
And
classes,
then people, and then a lot of people don't also know, like, why people don't know, like, I'm not, I manage fighters, so I want to have a
yeah,
relationship where I can, like I said, I know Robert, I know Eric, I've spoken with Eddie Hearn, so I would, why burn bridges that you may have to cross,
yeah,
especially when you want to be involved in boxing other than your own personal career. So I'm glad that hit up Robert Diaz, and just speak and say what's up, and ask him about interested in this or that fighter. So yeah, I mean, so that's why I'm like, it's a beautiful thing, especially just for my own career as well, not only within the ring but outside of the ring,
yeah,
because I want to sit down and do business with Golden Boy. I want to do business with Matchroom. Of course, of course I'm always going to do business with Top Rank, But like I said, sometimes, yeah, as you know, in the boxing world, certain fighters may fit with a different banner,
yep,
because like let's say for instance, like even right now on the 130 division, a lot of those top guys are over here with the Top Rank side.
yep,
But if you
yep,
look at the welterweight side, you might have a lot of guys in
um,
the PBC
yep,
brand. So it's
yeah.
like, you got like, if you got to be smart, and you got to, why burn bridges when you may have something that can benefit one of your guys.
Yeah, and then as you're talking about those ones, even super middleweight, 168, you got two champs with Plant and Benavidez on PBC, but then you got Canelo, Colin Smith, and
Exactly.
BJ
And over
Sanders
there,
with the zone.
the zone, the match,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So, make the fights, connect them however you got to do. That's perfect. And yeah, shout out to you. I know you got your fighters on. Wasn't last weekend, but the weekend before, I believe.
Weekend before
Yeah,
I had Desmond Jarman, Sean Simpson, Chicago. Right now, I'm trying to work with a fighter by the name of Kyle Krebs from upstate New York.
yeah,
But yeah, we also have a lot of fighters that we want to work with as well, and we have talked with Golden Boy, and I reached out to Eddie Hearn. He's replied. So yeah, like I mean, but that's just me trying to look out
yeah,
for others other than myself. I'm not a selfish guy, and if I go out there and just bashing, you never see me go out there and bashing promotional banners and things like that. Like, what do I get at that? Because I not even just working with like trying to put fighters over there, but what if I want to fight a guy over there at a different banner? But
yep,
I don't bash De La Hoya constantly, or over the years, and like,
yeah.
no, it does me no justice.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, you gotta you're doing it outside of yourself as well, or which I give you a lot of credit for, because not a lot of fighters really worry about everybody else, but you do. I believe you got your fighter that fought on that card. He's going to be on your undercard coming up as well, right?
Oh yeah, it's Chris said, man. We had to pull him out because he had some personal issues, man. But
Uh,
but definitely, I give credit to Top Rank for even giving me the opportunity.
yeah,
But they even willing to give me opportunity with another one of my fighters later on down the road in this summer.
yeah,
I
that's
believe
good.
Sean Simpson. And
There you
even
go.
so yeah. But I'm just like I said, just for the fact that they gave me the opportunity says a lot. They didn't
Yeah,
have to. They could have. They said that Top Rank can just selfishly look out just for top rank fighters,
yeah,
but like that's what I mean. But if you build a good relationship with these people behind closed doors, a lot of great things can come out of it.
yeah, and that's always a good thing. And everyone that you hear talk about you never talks about you in a bad way, as you said. Roberto Diaz, all of them. Every time that they speak of you,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's
always
like I
a
say, yeah, I have no issues with nobody. And
yeah,
then,
and
but
that's a
that's
good
that's
thing.
one thing I was looking at even with Ryan. Just yesterday, if you look on Twitter, it's not an issue. It shouldn't be an issue if he's chatting it up with guys like Leonard Ellaby. But
Yeah,
you can't go, just about 2 weeks ago, you can't go bash Floyd Mayweather saying
yeah,
that that his career wasn't nothing compared to Pacquiao's, and then because you have an issue with your own promoter, now you want to be buddy buddy with the guy that works
yep,
closely to me. Like, that's what I mean. You can't go out there and do crazy stuff after that because
Yeah.
it just makes you look bad in the end.
It look yeah, and it could be that it wasn't meant to be that way, but
Right.
after what happened, it looks bad. Like
Exactly. It looks suspect, and then in a way it comes out you're just doing this now to get back at your
yeah,
promoter, or or you're looking for hopefully them to come save you for whatever from whatever. But like
yeah.
that's just bad business.
And the thing is, on that, I will say Leonard is a smart man. He's not going to do anything to jeopardize.
Nah.
We seen when Deloy, I believe, called either Tank or I think it was with Tank when he was like, oh, come over to this side. Leonard right away was like, hey, we got him under contract. Don't play that game.
Exactly.
Oscar,
Don't. Yeah, that's the business.
yeah, and
But like I
Oscar could
said,
do that
and
same
like,
thing if
I'm
Leonard
not.
was to say something
I
to him.
haven't. It's crazy. Like I said, I haven't been with Al Heyman since 2017. But you seen on Twitter, I always speak to Leonard. Me and Leonard still have a good
Yeah,
relationship. I fought one of his fighters, as you know. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But it's never been any bad blood. Like I seen Leonard, matter of fact, during the Fury Wilder rematch, and like I've seen a lot of the PBC guys over there during that
yeah,
time. But we had it was no bad blood, was no tension, and that's the way I want to keep it. But
yeah.
yeah, you can't go out here and bash their guy 1 minute and then try to be buddy, but like it doesn't work that way.
Exactly, and then and that's the thing is, as you said, it looks bad on Ryan's part after everything he said. So hopefully again that gets resolved, because I mean it at the end of the
All
day
right,
it's gonna hurt Ryan more.
even compare like I said, he has to stay away from social media at times because like I said, was a week ago he had a post saying with him and Canelo, who would you rather, what side would you rather be, a guy who wins by knockouts or by,
Oh
and
yeah,
then he's
yeah,
making fun of a picture with Devin, a picture of Devin and Floyd together.
yeah,
Like, come on, man.
yeah,
I'm a big Canelo fan. You know what I mean? I'm a huge Floyd fan.
yeah.
So, I just respect them for what they do. Like I said, a
Exactly.
win's a win at the end of the day. But I'm not about to sit there and bash this side for that to
Nope.
make a point that means nothing in the end.
And the thing is with Devin's won a lot of his fights by stoppages too. So that to that point, it doesn't make too much sense.
People forget about people forget about Floyd, who was more aggressive and dominant and was
Pretty,
stopping a lot of his guys too. But
yeah,
a lot
Pretty
of these
Boy
kids,
Floyd was a
they
completely
they
different
remember
animal.
a lot of these kids, they always see is Money Mayweather, but they
Yeah.
forget about how aggressive and dominant Pretty Boy Floyd was. But
Uh,
that's why I don't like. I don't get into all that. I don't. What I'm saying, even when they go through little beefs, I don't pick sides. I don't bash anybody. But I just said it's not a good look in the end when if you're trying to cross streets.
yeah, exactly. And then as you're saying, just to go off a little bit on that one, Pretty Boy Floyd. If you want to look at any of the fights where the damage he's done, look at what he did to rest in peace Diego Chico Corrales. He was actually
Exactly.
the
I was thinking,
underdog in
yeah,
that fight.
yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, and one of my personal favorites, and it's just because people that know boxing, he was a rugged fighter, was Angel Manfredi. The way he dismantled Manfredi so quickly, and he had him out against the ropes. I was a kid, and
Was it 2 rounds? It was two
yeah,
rounds.
and me and my dad were watching that fight, and Manfredi was just someone you watch. He was a rugged fighter. He's one of those guys that you
Yeah,
like to watch
yeah.
fight. And then my dad was like, you know what, this guy Floyd, man, he's gonna be a problem for a long time. He just right then and there was like, it wasn't like he beat one of the top fighters in the world, but he beat someone so tough and rugged with ease. And yeah, if you want to
Right.
look up Pretty Boy Floyd
And then
fights,
the
look
way,
those two.
and then the way like I said, God rest his soul too. The way he dismantled Lil Body, and
Yes,
and others, Gennaro Hernandez, and
yes,
what I mean. Like I said, people, they look at the fights after. For some reason, they look at the fights after Floyd fought De La Hoya, but
yeah,
nah, look at the fights before then, and like just seeing how how hungry he was. Even he was making
yes,
a lot of money then. He stayed hungry.
yeah, and
Like I said, a lot of young kids, they want that fame, they want that Money Mayweather fame now. I was like, man, like you
and
gotta work for it, you gotta earn it.
yeah, and I think he actually mentioned that before. Is people want money Mayweather, but they never want to go through the Pretty Boy Floyd phase. And that's the thing, is that he earned it, and then he knew how to run with it once he got to that spot.
Exactly.
That's the thing, is you got to know how to do that. You can't just walk in there and be like, oh, I got 1 million followers on Twitter. Oh, I got 17 knockouts. Okay, but you still got to earn it, and then you got to know how to run with it. Floyd knew how to work
Right.
the game better than anyone inside of the ring and outside of the ring. He got that persona and ran with it. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to make his money, and then also when he was in the ring, he knew how to defend himself better than anybody over the last 20 years.
Right.
So, couple more things real quick. just because to me this was one of the funniest things I've read lately was that Adrian Broner calling out Regis Prograis. Shout out to Regis, man. That was one of the funniest things I've read in the last couple of days. Broner, I got nothing against him, man, but I hope that doesn't happen right now. Give it a couple months, but that was just a funny read to me to know that. I mean, it came out of left field for me.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere to me because, like I said, AB's my boy. AB, he still checks up on me, but like I said, it definitely came out of left field. I didn't see that one coming at all, but
Yeah,
maybe he's feeling that itch to get back. But like I said, he hasn't fought since what
Micah.
last January.
Yeah,
So yeah, so of 2019. So I feel like get back in shape, get it, saying get a little tune up or whatever, and then go for those guys again.
yeah.
But like I said, man, you know what, AB, anything, you're bound to see anything just pop up and something go on, man.
Yeah, that was just funny because I'm like sitting there at work, looked at my phone, and it was like Adrian Broner says he'll take out Regis. I was like, what the? Were they already talking? I was like, where'd that come from? I was like, what the? But yeah, that was just it was funny to me to see that. But again, I mean, AB, I've always liked him. He's a tough fighter, never been knocked out, and then when you consider who he's fought,
Right.
is really impressive.
And actually, if you could know, he's actually a cool dude behind
Yeah,
the scenes. Like that, the AB persona is just for the most part, in my eyes at least, it's just an act. But
yeah,
like Adrian is actually a really good dude when you actually stand and talk with him. But like I said, man, I want to see him come back. But
yeah,
like, take your time. And another guy that I want to see back come back. Is of course my boy Errol Spence. I'm happy
yeah,
that he's like I'm surprised that he's saying that he doesn't want no tune him. So and he knows his body better than anyone. But I'm glad to see that he has that
yeah,
hunger still, and he just wants to get back and do what he does, do what he's been doing as one of the best welterweights in today's division.
yeah. And you know what? Speaking of that, when his accident happened, I mean, seeing the video was one of the scariest things I've seen over the last couple years because I mean that car just went to pieces pretty much.
Right.
But at that point, that day, it was one of the days I felt the best. Being on boxing Twitter, seeing the love that he got from every side, every promotion, every person. It was,
Right.
uh,
Like my man Bud showed him love and everything. You know what I'm saying? It was bigger than it was bigger than just boxing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I said, there's a man's life on the line, so
yeah,
it's definitely shows true character of other individuals. It's bigger than just your promotional banner. If you may have your differences, but you never want to see anybody go
exactly.
out in the worst way.
Yeah, and to me, that's what I was saying is that day I felt. I mean, as we've seen on Twitter, boxers or promoters or fighters or fans always running their mouths on each other. But that day, it was like there was no down talking to nobody. It was everybody just praying for him, and that made
Right.
me feel good because it was like where we're at, and just in general overall in the world, to see that everybody came together for him was beautiful to me, man. And I remember,
Right.
I'm trying to remember who was posted and said that it was a day that he regained a little bit of hope in life just to see. I mean, you had everybody reaching out like, man, I hope you're good. I hope you're good. And then we found out he was cool. It was like, all right, what were you doing, man? Like type of thing. But
Right. Yeah. And
yeah,
not gonna lecture you. But there's a lot of people. I always say that. I always reach out to him. I always reach out to him.
yeah,
We still chit chat. We still laugh and joke. I told him, I always tell him, give him my love and support. But I'm just glad that he's in the gym where he belongs,
yeah.
and he's getting, and more importantly, like I said, you and I are both fathers, so I'm just glad that his daughters,
That's the
are
thing.
fortunate to see their father each and every day now.
Yeah, I mean, and as I always tell people, once you see something like that happen, if he didn't know before, he knows he's blessed and he has a purpose
Right.
because we've
Right.
seen people go away with less of an accident than that. And the fact that he was able to walk out there, as he said, with just some missing teeth. Hey, man, give me my life. If I miss my teeth, I'm fine. As long as I have my life and I'm
Right.
here with my
Exactly.
daughter, hey, I'm good. So I mean, yeah, it's always a good thing. And now that he's back, I'm glad to see it. He's in tough though. If with Danny Garcia, I mean, he's not a walkover. It's
Oh,
definitely not a tune-up, as you said.
Yeah, Danny is always a huge a lot in any fight. Just like Sean Porter's a live dog in any fight. I never seen. I think probably the toughest fight that I've seen Sean in, and honestly, is when he fought Kell Brook, of
Yep.
course, and he had a rough time with Ugas. You know what I mean?
Ugas.
But like for the most part, yeah, Sean makes it hard. Remember, makes it rough for everybody,
Yeah,
man.
I wouldn't. No matter who it is, if they told me Sean Porter's fighting, I would not be surprised at him winning against whoever it is, just because of
Yeah.
the heart and the way he fights. When people are like, "Oh man, he's giving Arrow a fight," I'm like, "Well, what you think? You think he was going to
What
go
you
in and get
expect?
knocked out?" Like, nah, he's one of the best fighters in the
Nah.
world. That's a tough
Sean,
man
yeah,
right there.
Sean is gonna dig it out, rule it,
Yeah,
mug, whatever, to get that victory. Like that's just showing, that he just has his own formula, but it's effective. It's very effective, man.
exactly.
I knew it wasn't gonna be an easy fight. I knew it was
Yeah,
gonna be a dog fight, man.
yeah,
It's still a good fight to even go back and watch now.
yeah.
But
Hell yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That was a
Sean Porter
great fight.
definitely did everyone a tough fight. I
Yeah,
think
that
I
was.
think the only one that pretty much like I said pretty much neutralized that was actually Kell Brook at his best. Because
Yeah,
Kell Brook kept the distance and had a great jab and used his leverage.
yeah, and at that he won clearly, but it was a real competitive fight, and that just shows you Cal Brook
Right.
was on his game that night, and
Right. Oh yeah.
still
Yeah. Yeah.
still won maybe 7-5 only, and that's just
I
that's
think I think
credit
I think at that time I think at that point in time I actually would say that Kell Brook was actually the
the best
best, in my
welterweight.
opinion, the best welterweight at that time.
Yeah, and yeah, and he was. I think he did a lot of damage to himself moving up to fight Golovkin, but as we
Yeah.
know, you take the chance. You dare to be great. So I don't have no
Yeah,
hate
it'd be
for it.
great.
But now, and then again, he fought Golovkin, and then he came back against Arrow. And that was just too tough. To
Yeah,
drop
yeah,
that
yeah,
weight.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It was too
Yeah,
much.
back to back, yeah, back to back wars. But like I said, Kell Brook, you can't take that from him. He's a true fighter.
Yeah,
Even now, he still wants the big fights. He wants to fight Bud. So
yeah.
he still wants the big fight.
I would love to see. I know we're not going to get Spence with Bud right now. I would love to see him against Ugas, Cal Brook, uh,
Oh, Sean.
or Sean. Yeah, give me any one of those. That'd be a great fight. Personally, I just want to see Bud back in the ring. I'd see him, spar and pay for it if anything, just because that's
Right.
the level that these guys are at. So hopefully that does happen soon. Hopefully he gets a fight set up soon. Um, as we said with Lomachenko and Teofimo, they're talking about January or September in Vegas with a little bit of an audience. So maybe that's what we're going to have to
Right.
wait for, some of the bigger names, which is not a problem. As long as we have fights going on every week, I'll take it.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah. So, real quick, just want to give a couple shout outs to a couple of the sponsors here at the show. Want to give a shout out to Kelly Smoke Shop, number 4, here in Fresno, 302 Maple Avenue, Maple, Illinois. You need anything out there, oils, whatever you need. They have food, drinks, and all that. So if you want to go check that out, go ahead and look them up. And then also want to give a shout out to my friend Sebio Alvarez. Is a company right here for cleaning called Dirt Magnets. Janitorial. If you want to give them a call, it's 559-374-7112. And one last one, shout out to my boys on Twitter, the Raider Ramble. Write some stories for them when I can. Want to give them a shout out too. Those are my guys out there. And for you, Jamel, anything you want to say before we head out here, and anybody you want to give a shout out
Oh
to?
man, like I said, man, you always show love since day one, bro. And like I said, anytime you used to come, we can just chat it up. I'm more than welcome. But I just want to say thank you for everyone who's just been supportive since day one as well. And anybody they can reach me at Jamel Herring on Twitter and Instagram. I'm always responsive. If I take a while, because I'm busy. As you
Yep.
know when I'm camp, but I always find time to hit you back, brother.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, man. This week, everybody that knows, this was the first episode. It was supposed to happen Monday. Had a little bit of issues there. The previous guest earlier today actually had an issue. So, Jamel, thank you very much for being the first guest on my show. It's an honor to have you, as I've told you before, man. Your story is an inspiring one. Everything that you've gone through to get to where you're at, man, it's always all love, man. And I wish you the best going forward, bro. We're going to watch your fight July 2nd, ESPN, main event.
For sure.
And, thanks again, bro, for being on tonight. I appreciate that so much, especially during your training. And, we'll be in touch, man. And good luck, man. And tell them again, man, I'll get them buckets whenever we run into each other out there.
I got you, bro. I got you.
All right, man. Thank you very
Take care
much,
of yourself,
Jamel,
Mike.
man. And take it easy, man. Have a good night.
You too, Mike.
Thank you. Appreciate that, bro.